Hi everyone, I hope everyone had a good week of training. So for my week went pretty well, I would say, with everything that I was doing. I hit just about everything I was planning on doing. I think the only thing that I sort of planned but didn't really do was yesterday when I did 360. I planned for it to be a 5x5, but I kind of figured that it would be really difficult, seeing how the previous time I did 355 for, I think, either a 4x4 or a 5x4. I'm pretty sure it was a 4x4, so I jumped up in weight, and I wasn't expecting that, so I did the first set with 5, the middle 3 with reps of 3, and then the last set I did a set of 5 with that, and it was quite heavy with that, so but I was still able to hit that, so that's definitely a positive, moving in the right direction as far as squats go. And squats have been feeling really good lately as far as what I'm trying to do with everything, and as my form slowly gets better, as my quads slowly get stronger, then my form is able to get better and better, so hopefully those will improve continuously, and I can continue to develop those and eventually transition to low bar and progress to a point where I'm PRing at that lift. But it shouldn't be too big of an issue, at least I'm hoping so. But at the end of this 3-week cycle, so this was the end of the first week, I would like to try perhaps 405. I want to try doing some sort of weight around that to see if I could do it for a double without a belt. I don't know if that would be too aggressive because I did 385 at the end of the last cycle for 3, so I don't know if that would be too aggressive of a jump with that, so I'll have to decide that later. But that's kind of the goal, is to do that for a double, and if I don't feel like I can, then I'll do something close to that for a double or a triple with that. And as far as my benching stuff is going, it's just going fine. It's actually going extremely well. And I don't know if that's because I'm doing a lot more overhead pressing stuff that's allowing me to recover more and to hit my bench stuff a lot better. But I'm essentially literally linearly progressing with what I'm doing with that, and it's mostly just like kind of like a 5x5 with it, and then pausing the last rep that I generally do. The bench workout I did yesterday was with 260, and it was 5x5, and pausing the last rep in each set, the 5th rep of each set with that. So bench has been going extremely well, and I'm just going to keep pushing that as much as I can with that 5x5 structure with that. And there's not really a particular reason why I did the 5x5. I find just that kind of general rep range is easier to work with, and it's not too strainful where I'm worried about the cardio aspect, but I'm still able to kind of progress with that. And I can kind of manipulate, if I usually keep it 5 sets, but I may manipulate the reps as needed with that, because I find really any more than 5 sets, I'm just doing the same exercise for a very long time, and anything less than that, then it kind of goes quicker than what it should be. And then if I do like a 3x3 or something, then it goes really quick, and I'm not getting enough work in with that. So it's kind of that middle ground, but I kind of adjusted with that. But bench, it's really trying to just continue to push that 5x5 with that, and hopefully I can continue to progress forward with that. And I don't know what I want to try to do at the end of this 3-week cycle with bench. The last time I did 285 for 2 sets of 2, and I was hoping to do a set of 3, so I may just grab 285 again and see if I can do that for 3 or 4 reps, see if I got a little bit stronger in that regard. But I'm not exactly sure. It depends how I feel with that. My shoulder's been kind of achy with bench, but it hasn't really affected anything, and it gets better as I do more overhead pressing stuff. It actually doesn't bother me much when I'm doing anything overhead press or push press that much, but it bothers me a little bit with bench, so it kind of allows me to recover, because I just can't bench as much if I'm overhead pressing as much. And that's probably one of the reasons why my bench has been feeling good, is because I'm getting stronger with my shoulders, so that's helping me get more speed off my chest when I'm benching with that. So hopefully that can continue, build up my baby shoulders, and hopefully continue to build up my bench. And let's see, deadlifts as well. I only deadlifted once this week because my IT band was kind of iffy. I didn't want to push it again with that, and I would have deadlifted. It would have been today, and I just really didn't feel like doing anything too crazy as far as deadlifts going. But next week I do want to try to deadlift 2 different times, and to go heavy those both times with it, and do deficits probably both times, and to use my chucks one of the 2 times at least, if not both of the times. The Olympic shoes actually didn't really affect my pulls that much when I was doing deficits. They still looked like they moved really well, and they still felt pretty easy when I was using pretty heavy weight for the deficit exercise with that. So hopefully the chucks will make that even better, and I can throw a little bit more weight on the bar with that. But I was really surprised at how easy my deadlifts were moving. So I think with the deficit deadlifts. And I think a good reason for that is that my quads have gotten stronger, so I'm able to get a little better speed off the floor, and that's just going to help my deadlift a lot if I'm able to be more explosive off the floor, because obviously I have that sticky point, and I don't think that will ever go away once I'm past my knees, because once your back rounds, you kind of get stuck there. I don't think that will ever go away with heavier weights, but what I can improve on is kind of the speed off the floor into that, and so you kind of have more momentum going into that point, and it'll just help me be more explosive of a deadlift person, because I've always been kind of slow off the floor, but then once it gets moving off the floor, then I'm usually good. But with that, but I think that's definitely a lag or a deficit that I have, is just quad strength as far as the deadlift goes. Even though it may not seem like a deadlift dominant movement, it definitely helps with that initial little pop off the floor with that. But hopefully I can get those 2 times in an absolutely awesome world. I would do 3 different days of deadlift, and one of the days would be really light and the other 2 would be heavy. If that happened, it would be somewhat in the middle of the week. I still have to plan that structure of how I want to do that. And at the end of this cycle, I think I want to try to do the 565 again, but do it with much cleaner form, because the last time I did it was with very ugly form with that. And I think part of the reason is that I really just got out of the practice of deadlifting, as weird as that may sound, but I was allowing myself to get really forward with the lift, which I'm still able to actually like complete the lift, but it was just, I made it a lot more difficult than it should be, because I think the thing I have to remember is to not deadlift like I clean and not deadlift like I snatch, because with deadlift or with a clean or a snatch, it's a lot more forward with the movement, because you want your shins to be really vertical, or you're just more out in front with it. You use your quads more with it. And I was doing a lot of those movements, and I just took that idea or those motor patterns and applied it to the deadlift. Which, if you're trying to deadlift a lot of weight, you shouldn't do it like you're doing a clean or a snatch or anything near that, because it just makes life more difficult with that. And adding in the fact that I have weaker quads relative to my posterior chain, putting anything extra onto my quads is just going to make my deadlifts a lot harder. Keeping it all in my posterior will obviously make my deadlift a lot better with that. So probably that 565 again for a good set of 2, perhaps a set of 3, but I would be really happy with just a really clean set of 2 with weights that have moved well with that. And that will probably be from the floor, so that will be coming in the next couple of weeks with that. And as far as my Olympic lifting in general goes, I'm not really worried about going heavy, although I said that and I was an idiot and I went heavy cleans, but I probably won't be going very heavy with Olympic lifting for a while, just to really short my form and to do a lot of the variations to really get moving quicker with better mechanics, so I can add more weight down the line and really build the good motor patterns. And I had a really good session today with snatch practices of just different cues and different things that are starting to click as far as the movement goes. And it's really, at this point for me, I'm getting better at having good lifts. I just have to get better at having them consistently and remembering the cues and being able to do the different variations with good form, and to just be consistent with those movements and to just really build those motor patterns, because I'm really coming from very little experience with Olympic lifting and very little correct experience, I should say. And every good rep that I do is good, but I also don't want to be adding a lot of weight and putting myself in bad positions, developing patterns that aren't good, so I wouldn't be able to progress in the long term with it, because I can honestly force myself to progress at this point, because I have such a strong posterior chain. I can really just jerk the weight up in kind of ugly ways, but it's going to be more beneficial for me to really focus on just being quick and explosive, and then to be slowly adding weight onto that. So while I was an idiot this week adding cleans, I will try not to be an idiot moving forward with those movements, and really just add them in as accessories, because while I don't do very much weight with them, they can be a very, very good accessory movement to help build up my quads. And a perfect example of that was the middle workout during the week, where I had front squats and then snatch balances, and it was like sets of 3 front squats, and then I went right into snatch balances, and it was just like so much, my quads were just blown up for that. I almost had like a strain in my one quad. But it was in both quads, just like you do a whole bunch of bicep curls and you can't, all the blood's in there. So I was really surprised of how much hypertrophy, or that feeling of hypertrophy that I got from doing those two movements with it, because I generally never get that with quads. So it can only be a good thing if I'm getting that feeling in my quadriceps with that, because it's definitely a weak chain. But I feel like I'm making good progress and everything's going well as far as that goes, and my diet and whatnot has been fine. My weight's been floating around between 202 and 205, and I'm happy with it there. So I'm just really maintaining what I'm doing and just trying to eat a lot, because my tendency is to just not eat. It's not an issue for me to eat a lot, but I also have the tendency to not eat for like 12 hours, or to during the week when I'm at school to eat like nothing, and then and then be starving by the end of the day, or eat like a really small lunch and have that. So something I'm going to be trying to do is to spread out my food a little bit more, especially at school, because I just don't think about eating. I'm thinking about everything else besides eating. So I just need to bring like a snack or something, so I'm eating extra things, so I don't just have to pig out at dinner every day, because that can be, it's nice, but I just don't like cooking that much food. I don't mind eating that much, I just don't like sitting and cooking for 30 minutes to get all the food I need in order to hit, whatever I need for the day. Although I'm not tracking, I just kind of keep a mental track of, all right, I've eaten this, and this, I probably got enough protein. If not, then I have some extra whey, or usually I'll just have some whey every day. But just trying to make sure I don't fade away and get skinny again, because my weight class is about 204. So as long as I'm around there, then I should be good. And once I get closer to June, maybe I'll cut down slightly to a little under 200. But I'm not worried about cutting or anything with that. Anything other than maybe just not having much before I go to bed the night before. But I'll end this video here because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Hopefully you got some insight about how this week went. But if you have any thoughts or comments about anything I talked about, or with my training and the specifics of it, please leave those down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.